Hey everyone, welcome to Hunters Connect. Today we're going to take a look at deboning a front and hind quarter. This is a front shoulder from a mule deer doe that I shot. Saved it whole. I'm going to take all of it and ground it to make sticks for this hunting season, snack sticks, sausage, things like that. But this is just a look at how to do it. And so it's basically the same process whether you're in the field or at home. Your knife selection and tool selection may change, but as long as you know how to make the cuts, it really is not too bad. So the front shoulder comes together, it's a flat bone, but it comes to a peak in the middle, and that's this little ridge right here. So you're gonna take your knife and just follow the outside edge of that bone down through the meat. And it'll just kind of guide you as you make that cut. It can, breaking down an animal can seem really intimidating, but nature kind of lays it out for you. You don't have to, there's not a ton of guessing once you kind of see where those lines are and what bones and seams to follow. Once you do that, you just kind of keep working through. This one was frozen, so it's a little firm. The texture will be a little different when you're deboning an animal in the field. So once you get it peeled off this middle bone here, you just follow that bone with your knife. It'll guide you to get those cuts right off, and yeah, you just kind of follow the guide that nature provides. So there's one. That could be a front shoulder roast. I'm going to trim off some of this dried meat on the outside so you can see the inside. Beautiful red. That could be its own roast right there. When you're following these cuts, these seams, as you're looking at the muscle groups, you'll see where they come together, and just be careful when you're doing that. Try to stick to the larger groups of muscles and not break them down. There are many layers of muscles on top of each other, and if you get too carried away, you'll end up with a bunch of smaller pieces. Like I said, if you're making sausage or grinding a front shoulder, it doesn't really make a difference. But if you're hoping to save some for a roast, you're going to want to keep those larger muscle groups intact. So on this front leg, I've made a cut just above that little joint down here, and you'll see it kind of flexes, but there's still tension on it. So you can make that cut through the top here, and then just keep working your way around. After we work around that, we're just gonna follow this bone down towards the end. And just like above, you're basically just filleting along that bone, using those bones as a guide. And again, the other side of the bone, follow that down. Start peeling that meat away from the bone. So we're getting there. A little bit of, if you pull on the meat, you'll feel where those little connections are left. You just kind of work your way through it. Just kind of be gentle as you're getting started. Just be aware of where your knife is, where your hands are. But don't be too worried about it. It's a learning process, and I think you get better every time you do it. This is the first one that I'm doing this year, so I'm still getting warmed up too. You can hear that crack. That's just that dry outer layer. Just gonna cut that away. There you go, and that's just taking the shank off. That's all by itself. Now we'll go back up to this upper portion. So now we've got this upper part of the scapula exposed. We've trimmed it up a little bit, and you can just use your knife up against that bone, and just like the other parts, you're just following along, taking that meat off the bone as you go. There you can see that ridge bone, and this is just the shoulder blade, the scapula. This is still medium frozen, but to get an idea of what that looks like, you're just kind of pulling and cutting and pulling and cutting. It'll be a little easier to pull when it's either in the field or not frozen, but sometimes having it a little firmer is easier to work with as far as making clean cuts. So we're just peeling this off. Okay, so we've got that front roast off that shoulder blade itself. Now we're gonna do, the only real bone left is this connecting piece between the shoulder blade and the shank. So we'll just take your knife, separate that shoulder blade off, or rather that meat from that shoulder blade. And on the bottom, you'll see that those muscles kind of just wrap around this bone. So from there you can just kind of peel those off as well. So that's pretty much it. There's a little bit left on the back side of the scapula. So we're just gonna stick that knife through there, flush against that bone, and just follow it up. And using that scapula as a guide, we'll clean that up real nice. You won't get a lot of meat wasted. So that's it. There's your deboned front shoulder. You know, so much of it is just following the guides, like I said, that nature provides. The bones, and you'll see the seams and the muscles where they connect. Don't be afraid to make a mistake. I mean, it's all edible regardless. If you make the wrong cut, it happens. It can be super intimidating, but it doesn't have to be. So just take your time, be patient, follow those lines, and yeah, enjoy your meals to come. Thanks for watching Hunters Connect.